Mike and Mike alone. Um, I don't know what's going on out there. We didn't record last night because I was under the weather. Everybody else wanted to wait until I was feeling better to record. So I thought the plan was to record tonight. Apparently, um, I'm getting no response from the other fellas. So, and Brian from Rhode Island is under the weather as well. But here I am, going to do this by myself again. I think this is the third time. Three-time champion. It is your old friend, Wicked Spursy Mike. But yeah, let's jump right into this stuff. I'll just have you guys know that it is 100% absolutely fucking snowing here in Vermont. We had last I checked about 3 to 4 inches, and it looks like it's gonna start again. It's stopped for now, but it's gonna start again a little bit later, um, and then taper off throughout the night. So there's your weather report from Wicked Spursy. Um, so let's start off by talking about well, let's talk about this Champions League demolition. In midweek. I know I had our friend Dolan on for a midweek reaction pod. Excuse me. And it was quite the demolition. Followed by what some might call a Premier League thriller that kind of had us all reaching for some smelling salts on Saturday. So let's start off by talking about that glorious 4-0 evisceration of Copenhagen. Um, it- um, you know, we'll break it all down. So w- we gotta talk about these games that are under the lights, and it's a late game for the folks in North London, and any other traveling fans, and it has to be appreciated, by those fans, when you're able to put on a show like they did for the fans. So at the same time, the players have to appreciate the fans showing up and showing out for them. Um, so I know what you're thinking. Copenhagen, weren't they the team that knocked out Man City a couple of years back? Yeah, they were, but man, they just it's not the same team. They got some poor away form, especially right now, especially in the Champions League, which made it pretty friendly for Spurs to run out that 4-0 win. Um, and this just wasn't just like any kind of win. It was a statement. It was a statement when I think at this point in the competition, you have to start accruing points. So with this result, we're sitting pretty good, about 8 points from 4 games, 2 wins, 2 draws. No losses yet in the Champions League, which is great. So at this point, qualification is in our own hands. Um, and pretty suddenly that top 8 finish in the knockout for the knockout playoffs is it feels pretty real. It feels pretty real. There are a lot of teams that are ahead of us right now, but we can get into that. Like, there's a lot of those teams have to start playing some very challenging games. We can get into that later if we have some time, but let's just kind of rewind that tape. Kickoff was 8 p.m. London time, which means 3 p.m. here in the States on the East Coast. And from the start of the game, Spurs absolutely dominated possession. Spurs clocked in at 61% to 39-ish percent. 14 attempts for us, 12 for them. But you know, I mean, we obviously edged them on target shots. Our Corners, we didn't win that many corners, like we've been doing recently. Copenhagen actually had more corners than we did. I know I usually don't get into stats and that kind of stuff when we're talking here, uh, but you know, when we're talking about um, a fella sitting here by himself trying to pull out a podcast by himself after being absolutely abandoned by his friend, well, who I thought were friends, um, but yeah, I think Vicario had very little to do this week. So in the midweek. So um, while their keeper was scrambling for most of the game, and the thing is that like when we're able to play the game that we want to play and a team like Copenhagen allows us to play that, allows us the space to be creative, um, you know, that that is going to allow some of these players who weren't having so much joy in previous matches to get that joy, to shake off rust when they come back from injury, and that kind of stuff. Obviously, our Welsh wizard, here he is again, shows up, right place, right time. Brennan Johnson, first goal, uh, very clever through ball from Xavi Simons, and we can get into talking about Xavi too. We talked about him a little bit in the midweek reaction. Um, it seems to me, and when we'll talk a little bit more about him when we get into talking about Man U, but it seems to me like he's starting to kind of, um, starting to feel a little better in this system. Obviously, he is a European boy. He plays, continental European style soccer, and there are adjustments that have to be made to the Premier League. So getting out and getting to play in a European competition like this is going to be a big deal for somebody like him to kind of gain that confidence again, and realize that his challenges that he's having in the Premier League are just that. They're challenges from the Premier League. It's nothing about his ability to play the game. It's nothing about um, him losing the ability to be the player that he was. It's just he has to learn how to make adjustments. He's a young player, um, and I think that you know it made him look almost like he's been here forever, right? um, but yeah, he gets that ball to Brennan, and what an I mean the thing you can say about Brennan, you could talk about how he's a tap in merchant, that he's right place, right time type of guy. He's a he makes those runs in from behind. He shows up at the back of the um, at the back post when guys are ball watching. But the one thing that isn't really mentioned about Brennan Johnson, and again we'll talk about more about him after this, but is that he has this ability to, I mean, he's quick, but he has this ability, like his finishing is almost impeccable. And that was a super tight angle. And what a nice, clean, confident finish. I mean, that's one thing that is when he has the ball at his feet, in tight angles, in tight spaces, um, not necessarily tight spaces, but tight places where he has to make a shot. He gets the shot off. He does well with that. I mean, he's a really good finisher. Um, and he's been in and out of this season, but the finish, man, that was, I mean, the finish was ice cold. Um, I think on the night for me, he would have probably had about a 7 out of 10 for me, but I mean, that that red card that I still think is a yellow card all day long. I just I think it was an unnecessary challenge. I just don't think he needed to do that. Um, but you know, let's be real. Like he was the spark. That lit that fire. Right off the restart, boom, Wilson Odebear. Um, this kid is 20 years old. I he is another one who needs some minutes out there. He needs to shake off the rust from an injury. Um, he is the type of guy that we've been bagging for a long time. He's a guy. He's a one-on-one specialist. He's a guy who isn't afraid to take on a man and get a shot off. Um, he does all those things that we want Brennan to be able to do on the other side too. Um, Also, very good finisher. Um, but he at this moment like pounces on a blocked clearance from the Copenhagen keeper. I can't remember his name. Um, but I mean, obviously, courtesy of a nudge from Randall Colomani. But one touch and he finishes like it, just nice, clean. I think that ever since he's got 8 goals in all comps already in this season. Um, he brought pace, he brought poise. He has this like this predatory type instinct. I think that he's if he keeps this up, I mean, in the next 10 years, the sky is the limit for this guy. I'm really impressed, and I really love watching him play. And he's another one of these guys who just gets a lot of joy out of playing the game. And then obviously the drama comes. Um, Johnson, 57th minute, high boot on Marcos Lopez. Um, I mean, a little harsh, yes. I think. I mean, obviously, we talk about like everything like looks crazier, looks more dangerous in slow motion than it was. It didn't really do much, but knock the man down for me. Um, so we go down to 10 men, and I think we've talked a lot on this podcast about how these players have to go out there and to be able to the execute the plan that Thomas Frank wants to put in front of them. They have to be brave. They have to be brave. And I think that down to 10 men, most teams, generally you park the bus, you're up 2-0, you park the bus and you hope for the best. But nope, not us. Not us. Not under Thomas Frank. This is the crazy shit that we saw under Ange, but not in this one. Enter the the Dutch Blur. We're going to call him the Dutch Blur, Mickey Van de Ven, the Dutch Destroyer, the Colossus at center back. This guy launches into a 90-yard solo run. Immediately like shrugs off 3 challenges. Like they're just, traffic cones. This and he rifles it. I mean, he like at speed rifles it past the keeper from almost 20 yards out, right? Goal of the season for me so far. Could be a Puskas contender, but Mickey Van de Ven, zero trouble defensively, and obviously that goal kind of broke the internet for a minute. But there was one comment that I saw that it said VDV just ended Copenhagen's season, which was pretty funny. I mean, he got down the field in like less than 10 seconds. It reminds us of Bale. It reminds us of the run that Sonny made against Burnley. it was just phenomenal, and you love to see it. You love to see it. I think that Mickey Van de Ven, we saw him as this guy, with a lot of speed. We weren't sure what he was going to do when he had to be backed up into into a system where he actually has to play center back. He has to be a ball defending center back. He's not going to be just one of these guys who pushes up on a high line and has to play recover, the entire time. And to the credit of Thomas Frank, he doesn't use him that way. And we can see that it has saved his hamstrings this year. He had two hamstring injuries last year, right? Because of the way that we played, because of the way that we trained. Um, so now we're up 3-0, right? And we weren't done yet. 2 minutes later, yep. I mean, or was it even seconds later? Uh, João Paulinho. He gets subbed on for Xavi, who, I think that a guy like Xavi never likes to be pulled off, right? He always seems upset when he gets pulled off, and I don't think that he felt upset that he was getting pulled off because of the way that he was playing. I think he was upset that he was playing well. Um, and he wanted to continue that run. But obviously, you need to you need to save a guy like that. You need to save his legs for the league match that's coming up in a few days. But Japolinia smashes it home at the back post from Christian Romero assist on the break. Just beautiful. He's been an anchor. He's a destroyer in the midfield. Um, he's been basically the anchor of the team. And 5 tackles won in this game alone. And I think this guy needs to be the anchor of be basically a fifth defender. Um, the problem is that when we're trying to play out of the back, he's not that guy who can make that silky pass out of the back. That guy is a guy that we had a few years ago, and his name was Rodrigo Bentancur. And this is Silky Puddin, as we used to call him, because the way he played and the way he passed, he was silky. He was silky like a nice pudding, but we don't do that anymore. Injuries have destroyed this guy. So now that guy in the back is a Paulinho, who is, like I said, he's a destroyer. He is a guy who's going to be a fifth defender. But that doesn't mean he can't shoot the ball. Um, um, and then Christian Romero, who we know Christian Romero. He's that center back who has passing ability. He's able to bring the ball up. Um, you know, I think Romero, he just, if he has to be invisible, he can be invisible. Um, but he makes that pass, and he the way that he has been sweeping up lately. If we're not hearing his name a lot, that's a good thing. But it's even better thing when we're hearing his name when he's contributing offensively. Um, so who are our biggest shout outs? I think Bentancur played a really, really nice game. I think Pape Sarr, both solid. Like, obviously Xavi gets the man of the match. So um, they had a late chance. Copenhagen had a late chance, but it was all over for there. Um, we don't really need to talk too much about the missed penalty, because the game was already in the bag at that point. Um, and Thomas Frank said that Europe suits us, right? Show that character down to 10 men, and when you're playing a game, and even though you're up to nothing with 10 men, um, it doesn't matter your competition at that point. These teams that are all in the Champions League are there for a reason. They're good teams. They're good teams. Um, but obviously, this win, it wasn't just 3 points. I think it served as some therapy, especially for the home fans who haven't been able to 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 go to the stadium and have that fun, have that joy, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, and I'm just very very proud of this team for doing what they do in Europe and what they have done in Europe. Um, but let's take some deep breaths here, um, because now we have to talk about Premier League. Um, so Saturday, we're back at the lane. Uh, Spurs versus United. This game was a 2-2 draw. Felt like a loss. It felt like a win. It felt like everything in between. Packed house, packed house. Like immediately, I felt it in my house. It was that early match that we call them in the United States. We call them the 7:30 match. Well, obviously it's a 7:30 match, but like the match that the unwinnable 7:30 match. We never seem to win those early matches. But this game was heart attack football at its finest. Um, let's get into some stats first because um, obviously the numbers don't lie. We had 54 to 46 possessions, so it's basically even. Uh, our passing, everything was basically even. Passing percentages, shots on target. We had four. They had two. We had 10 total shots, which we haven't been experiencing lately, especially the previous weekend's game. Um, and I think you really have to give it to United's keeper. Um, he had some pretty amazing, pretty key saves that really kept us out. We also edged them on XG, which we haven't been winning recently. Um, but obviously, all those stats aside, like football's not won on paper. We're not necessarily the stats podcast here, and I know you probably don't want to hear my mouth running on and on and on. You probably want to hear somebody else, but um, unfortunately, here I am. Um, so game 0-0 all the way up into the 32nd minute, and then boom, like I always say, um, we're looking great. Something stupid is about to happen, and then boom, Brian Mbeumo. Um, he's a guy who was rumored to us for a bit there. Obviously, paired with Thomas Frank would be the proper guy that you want up there, anchoring your team. Unfortunately, we don't get him. He goes to United. He slots home their opener. Beautiful header, and he was assisted by Diallo, who I think is a really fun, nice player to watch. Um, but the guy that really annoys the shit out of me constantly is Bruno Fernandez, and it's for a number of reasons. It's for the fact that like you never know what position the guy is playing. He's kind of all over the field. He's one of those busy bees who's fucking annoying. He's super talented, but he really gets on a lot of people's nerves because all he ever does is bitch and whine and complain and try and pull the strings of the referees. And um, obviously, he had a bunch of touches. He had a few that very very nice, really progressive passes. Um, and we go into halftime, and what happens? The Boo Birds come right back out. lots of grumbles in the stands, lots of boos in the stands. Um, and, you know, it, it's not the nicest looking football. You know, we don't create a lot of chances up until that minute. And, and I think that at that point, we needed subs. Obviously, first sub coming out is Randall Colomani, who broke his jaw on that fucking giant anvil head of Harry Maguire, um, and made it through to halftime. And at first I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Why is he taking him off?" He's been one of our more creative, more active players, and I thought he was playing well into the game. Um, and then so he gets subbed off, and then we find out that Harry Maguire's fucking slab head, um, breaks his jaw. But at this point, we're down 1-0. We have to push, have to push, have to push. So what does Thomas Frank do? I think his substitutions were spot on. I think they worked well. Um, and I don't know that, quite honestly, Manchester United knew what to do with it. We subbed at obviously 46 minutes. We subbed at 58 minutes. We subbed at 67 minutes. Um, and then, you know, four changes, chaos. And then the 84th minute, Matis Tell picks up the ball. And the turn that he made was just absolutely beautiful. It was a hold up play from a striker that isn't a hold up striker. And I got to say, a nice ball in from Wilson Odobert, who we gave some flowers to earlier. If you remember him, he was the guy on Tuesday. Um, uh, I think that finish was absolutely clinical. I loved watching it. I actually at that moment rewound it and watched again. Um, and then so obviously we get to the end of the game. We go into added time, 90+1, and absolute fucking pandemonium. Richarlison, um, who the much maligned Richarlison misses that penalty shot. And we talk about, and I talk about, his struggles. I'm not his biggest supporter. I'm not his biggest fan. Um, but this ball that comes in from Udogie, uh, about a million, it's fizzed in by Udogie, and he just Richarlison has this ability to direct these balls in with his head. He's a very good header of the ball. And he just hasn't had that ability to do the things we need him to do. Um, and that puts us ahead. And we can talk about what happens next. Obviously, we think we're going to win. 1 minute left. Matthias de Ligt rises up for a corner, nods a pass for Cario. 2-2 at that point, and obviously, you know, I don't know. I think it was just kind of pure agony at that point. Like, we had that amazing, amazing feeling of that go ahead goal in a game that maybe we shouldn't have won. Maybe, it should have stayed. I think this is a fair result. I think that if you had asked any Spurs fan, um, you know, after watching that game against Chelsea, what good results would be from these two games before the break would be. I think that they would tell you a win and a draw is fair, and it would feel good. Um, but it didn't feel good because they were down a man. They were down to 10 men, which means we had an extra man on, and Delete is just left completely and absolutely unmarked at the back post. He rises up. It's a beautiful goal. I'm not gonna lie there, but like, that's 7 minutes of stoppage time. What it ended up being was, it felt like 70 for me. Um, I felt really good for Richarlison. Despite the miss earlier, the header that header that he had was like a redemption arc for him. Matthias Tell, another one. He was a super sub. Udogi, another one. João Polina, another 5 tackles, man. Um, his passing accuracy was fucking amazing in that game. He was a midfield rocket. Romero had 5 tackles. The late yellow, yeah, uh, and I don't think you're gonna be able to blame Vicario. Obviously, um, he there's nothing he could have done about either one of those goals. Um, I just I feel like Thomas Frank's post match comments, where he said that we deserved more, but draws build resilience. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. I guess you can say that. I guess that is absolutely true. But in the end, um, you want more from your defenders, especially on set pieces, especially when we talk about how good we've been on set pieces so far in this beginning phase of the season. Um, obviously it's frustrating. Um, and it has us, in Europa spots right now, which is not where we want to be. But yeah, it's frustrating. But against United, I guess at this point, if anything, we can say that fucking kid can't, that TikTok kid can't cut his hair. So he's got to try and wait another 5 games, and if they even get close, then this is a more than fair result, because United had been flying at that point. They had 5 games in a row, no losses, 4 games in a row, 4 wins in a row in the league, and um, I don't I don't think that it was an unfair result. I think that Spurs, it was more than fair for Spurs. And I think we will just about take that one. Um, let's get into the next thing. I went and stopped. I was out with some friends, previous to coming home tonight, and when the snow started, and I braved the snow to stop and get this beer at the beverage warehouse. Um, they had announced that they got this beer from, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's Ichigo. Um, it's Japan's first microbrewery. It's in Niigata, Japan. Um, it is a 6% IPA. It's called Flying IPA. Um, I don't know much about it. It's Echigo Beer Company in Niigata, Japan. Um, and and this beverage warehouse, this beverage mart that I go to, has a lot of. They import a lot of really great high class beers, and I saw this. I heard it was coming, and I just needed to try it. It's got cool little dragon on there, um, on the label, and it says "Our dream is just beginning." Flying IPA. I don't know what type of IPA this is. Um, it is imported by Mutual Trading Company in El Monte, California, and they're importers, big importers of beers. Um, it's got a top on it. This is kind of a weird top. So, like in the United States, all of our tops basically um, are basically wide mouth tops, so they don't get that glug when you're drinking it, and it doesn't allow a lot of air in. This can has like this super super old school uh, opening at the top, like it looks like the fucking 1980s. But I'm gonna open this and just this does not smell good. um, oh god, it was hypercarbonated. I even tried to pour it properly. I don't know what we're gonna get out of this. Maybe I should look up a review here real quick. Let's do that while we're waiting for this soapy looking head to die down. Flying IPA review. All right. It's okay. Let's go to Beer Advocate here. They're usually fun. Oh, this gets an 83. Um, let's see. It's an American style IPA, 5.5%. I think this says 6 on it. It says from small can pours clear, light golden color, nice thick white head that slowly reduces and leaves lacing. That's all 100% true. The nose gets some nice nondescript citrus scents. Mouth gets a nice bitterness with a malt backbone. So I don't get citrus. It feels every single one of these is telling me the same exact thing. Three-quarter head, one the initial pour, three-quarter head, one-quarter beer. Settles in a rocky fashion very slowly. Lots of chunky lace left in the glass. Clear, bright copper color. All this stuff is very true. So let me just get a taste on this and we'll see where we're at. Um, this beer doesn't have that citrusy American style IPA. It's not even like a West Coast. It's like super malty. It tastes to me more like an English style IPA. Um, it's got taste of like sweet caramel. It's got some floral hop kind of like going on in the back, like nothing citrusy. It's really, really over, like I said, over carbonated. Um, and the bitterness, while not like super extreme, it's really probably the most bitter beer that I've had in a while. And I'm gonna try it again. Like drinking it is just it's very it's got that really malty caramel taste, and I think I don't know. It seems like a nice beer, um, but settling out now the it's overly bitter, and it doesn't. I don't feel like it needs to be. I think that I think that they've overdone it, and this typically happens with a lot of beers that are that are not American, not necessarily American brewers trying to make American style IPAs. Um, yeah, I know that they are the more famous. They're the more famous of the American style beers. They were we went through a hop revolution here in the United States. Um, but it just happens a lot with these foreign breweries who try and copy the American style IPAs. It generally just does not come off well, whether it's the water, whether it's the hops, whether it's like the way that they the style of brewing. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not pleased with this beer. I don't think I would even try another one. I would try another one from this brewery, but I would not try another one of these beers. So for me, this beer is a 2.9. It's just not good. It's a 2.9. Um, I just don't like it. Um, I don't know what else to say. I wanted to like it, but it's Remember Jetson Fernandez? You wanted to like him. You wanted to like him, but you couldn't. You just couldn't because he just wasn't good. Um, you know, so that's that. This has been Hey Mike, what you drinking? I'm a little slightly disappointed. Um, but let's get into we're gonna gaze at our little crystal ball here and um let's see where we go from here. Um I gotta man, I gotta do something about this taste in my mouth. Um get get a pilsner going here. Um let's gaze in our little crystal ball. Let's see what we've got. That's a kind of a reference to the new Wicked movie that's coming out that I'm very excited to see. Um, but it's gonna get a little dicey here for our heroes. Um, so obviously November is no picnic here, right? But December is a gauntlet. So we got first up we got away at Arsenal, North London Derby. Um, another early game. And despite what happened this weekend, Arteta's got the Gunners flying. They look like they're going to win the champ or they look like they're going to win the league this year. Um, they play with a ruthless style of pressing. And our last win there was in 2018. Um, I don't see how we can win this game. Um, I think we need a little bit of magic to win this game, but my prediction is that Sarr is going to play very well in this game. I think he's going to have a lot of success in the midfield. Um, I think he's going to give Odegaard some fits, um, and I think that when it all comes down to it, I think that if we somehow eke a point out of this game, we're going to be very, very lucky. Um, I just don't see how we're going to score with that Saliba and Gabriel wall. It's just going to be really, really tough, and this fixture makes me very, very nervous. And while I don't expect anything out of it, I think that like our midfield has to be on point. It has to be absolutely on point. Um, and we have to get Kudus back, because otherwise, we could be in for some trouble. Unless the young man Odebear comes out and plays a game, unless Matthias Tell decides to break out of his form, or Charleston, um, you know, who he took his shirt off again, got another yellow card for it, breaks out of his funk. Maybe that goal broke him out of his funk, because the way that he responded, that you couldn't help but like feel for the guy, right? Um, I want him to continue to progress and get better and better and become the guy that we thought we were getting when we signed him, but I just don't see it happening. And then directly after this Arsenal match, and we'll talk about this in our podcast next week when I have some co-hosts. We can get into breaking down Arsenal, breaking down the next match after that, which is another away match, this time in Paris against PSG in the Champions League. Mbappe, yes, but still stacked. Obviously, they beat us in the fake best team in the world competition match preseason thing that we did. But I don't know that like our previous heroics in the in the Champions League are going to continue. Um, but I can tell you that if we somehow find a way to pull out a win here, if we somehow find a way to open up the midfield and win that midfield battle, uh, I in you know I think if we win here, we're cruising in Europe, man. We're cruising through. Uh, that's another game that I'm not really sure happens that happens to work out in our favor. Then we have and then we have Fulham, we have Newcastle, and then we have Brentford. Like all of these are going to be tough, tough, tough games, and I just need everybody to brace for what's coming because we're going to hear more talk about Frank being fired. I don't believe that Frank will be fired. I don't think he deserves to be fired. I think he needs to be given uh, at least the rest of the season, maybe 2 seasons, in order to get his players in there, get his system set in, give him a chance to create something here. We talked about how we gave Ange a chance. We hadn't done that previously with guys like Jose Mourinho. We hadn't done that previously with guys like Conte. We have to start building something, and we can't keep going on this fucking merry-go-round because we know this is Tottenham, and we know that drama is going to follow us, and we don't just need more fucking drama on top of that. So, um, let's just let's just kind of bide our time, figure out where we're going, and you know, figure out where we're going from there. Um, we go into the Christmas break. I think after the Christmas break, we start getting some players back, and maybe we'll start to see a little bit of what we thought we could have. Um, So with that, I'm just gonna kind of end this podcast. I know it's probably been tough to listen to. I didn't do much but break down the games. I didn't really get into any detailed stuff. I do love and appreciate all of you for being here. I'm going to end my final thoughts with this hat that I'm wearing right here, this RISE cap that I'm wearing right here. Um, Team that had a really really tough time this season in the USL Championship. They had a really really tough time this season. Lots of stuff was expected out of this team after flying through to the championship in that league last year, through the playoffs and into the championship in that league last year, and it just didn't come for this team until the end of the season. They had a couple of key victories and a couple of very key draws, and they had some luck from the teams that were above them in the tables, and they made it into the playoffs. They squeaked into the playoffs, and here we are. They've won two playoff games, and now they're in the final of their conference of the USL Championship. They win this final, and they're off to another title game. Uh, you know, a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of heartache uh, is rewarded is rewarded by sticking with the program, sticking by your coach, sticking to the system, and growing into a season, growing into a game. And I think these are all things that we need to think about and compartmentalize when we're talking about and thinking about um, any of our teams, especially Tottenham Hotspur. Um, Results, though they look bad right now, don't tell the tale. The results right now don't tell the tale for the end of this season. You know, they they just don't. They don't tell the tale for the beginning of next season. Um, I know we won the Europa League, and I know it was awesome. It was awesome. It was such a great feeling. We still finished fucking 17th, And any finish in this league this year that's not fucking 17th and is not relegation is better than last season. Whether we win a trophy or not, your finish in the league is better than last season. That means you're progressing. That means you're progressing. We're playing well enough to have not lost in the Champions League right now. Um, and we have to, again, compartmentalize this, put things in different boxes and understand that, you know, this one thing that happened doesn't mean that this other thing can't happen. And I think that growth on this team, growth in if we could play in Europa League every single year, I'd be fine with that. I would be fine with that as long as we were winning it. But we're in the Champions League now. We have to grow up. Um, and as fans, we have to grow up, and we can't just because we have a tough run of form or it doesn't look the way we want it to look to just throw the fucking towel in and start shouting for our coach to be fired. That's not the way the world works. Look at the fucking New York Giants. They gave Brian Dable what 6 years. He couldn't figure it out, so they fired him today. You know, that's what happens. You have to give managers, you have to give coaches time to let their system bed in. And if they aren't making the right moves and they aren't doing the right things, then you get rid of them. But give them some time. Give Thomas Frank time. And I swear to God, I absolutely do believe that this is going to be a successful team. And all of you out there in Wicked Spursy land and Tottenham Hotspur world are going to be rewarded. And it's just as much about the players as it is about the manager. So we got to put that in that third box. So um, again, you know, I love and appreciate all of you. And if Steve were here, he would say, "Cois, cois, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Cois, 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 cois." There we go. Um, and don't be an asshole. Um, and for me, I just want to have everybody go out there. If you're driving around in Vermont right now, just be safe. Be safe. And make sure as we start getting into the winter and the dark sky, the dark night sky, the dark morning sky. Take care of your mental health. Seasonal affective disorder is a real thing, and just don't let that bed in. Find stuff to do. Find stuff to do with your family, and really just protect that mental health at all costs. And for God's sakes, please just talk to your neighbor. Just talk to your neighbor, and everything's gonna be awesome. Oh, and one more thing. Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.